It can feel a little bit like one of those parenting faux pas that everybody experiences, but nobody really likes to talk about. And it is that toddlers and crawling babies can get a little bit scrappy when they get together. Today, we're going to be talking about sibling rivalry when it comes to toddlers and babies, and 3 ways that we can really support our family dynamics so we can have less scrappy moments between our babies and our toddlers. Let's get started. So I'm going to be honest with you. I never imagined when I had my 2 under 2 that there would be so much need for forethought on how to manage the sibling interactions. I'd always heard the saying, and give me a thumbs up down below if you've heard it as well, but have them close together and they'll be friends forever. And then you have them close together and it seems really far from what you would imagine friendship would look like, right? It seems like a lot more scrappiness than the sweet moments. They are the sweet moments and they are like amazingly adorable, but there are a lot of moments that are like, how did they learn to do something like that and to a baby? So that season of having a crawling baby specifically and a toddler can be incredibly challenging because it can feel like you have to be a bodyguard all day long because you have 2 tiny humans who don't have any ability to control their impulses and don't really have like a fully established idea or intention of what it means to play with someone, and that like breaking other people's stuff or taking stuff from other children, that snatching is necessarily not a good thing, as well as hitting and just body boundaries in general. They just haven't developed that yet. So both of them are, just bound to kind of bounce off of each other, and it can feel as a parent like you don't have any time to get any of those basic tasks done. Like even taking the laundry out of the washer and into the dryer will be interrupted by moments of something happening with siblings. And again, it's often not things that are like super behavioral or very intentional or anything like that. It's just these 2 little, moving bodies kind of bumping against each other in almost everything that they do. So today we're going to be talking about 3 things that we can do to just set up our family dynamic so that that bumping happens a little bit less. And these are things that we used with our 2 kids when they were 2 under 2, and I think that they will be really helpful for you. But before we get started, I did want to tell you about a free event that I'm hosting with my friend Kaylee, the Movement Mama. We have brought together 25 expert speakers for a 5-day free event called the Thriving in the First Year Summit. It is all about your baby in that first year of life. So from infancy to their first birthday, from really those baby days to their first steps. We're talking everything postpartum, feeding, breastfeeding, setting up family dynamics, as well as all of the nitty gritty on your baby's development. This is information that we both wish we had had when we were first and second time parents. So I would love for you to join us. You can find the link for that below. Come and sign up. It's completely free and we'd love to see you there. Okay, so the first way that can be really helpful for setting up a dynamic or family dynamic that doesn't invite too much sibling scrappy moments is by having alone time with each child. This is probably one of the most recommended pieces of advice I've read in all the parenting books that I've read, and I'm a little bit of a child development nerd, so I read a lot of parenting books, and this comes up in every single book, and it's kind of a recommendation of most child therapists and psychologists that I've come into contact with. So it's definitely something to try out, and that it's like a special time basically. So you want to have an intentional block of time every single day to kind of fill your kiddo's love cup, and that is for each kiddo. This isn't time where you are feeding them or dressing them or any of the like taking care of them tasks, but this is time that is dedicated to just loving on them. So it can be playtime that you are doing together, which is led by your child. It is generally recommended that you put some kind of a timer on this because you do want to have it as time that you are like fully and intentionally there. So put your phone aside, put away the washing or the dishes or anything that's going to be distracting you, and just have that 10 minutes to like really be present with your child. We practice this a lot within my membership community, and the truth is that it's actually really hard to be fully present with your children. But if we can get into the habit of doing this from these early days, it can be really a gift for families and really a gift for your children. And what it does is basically make your child, both your baby and your toddler, feel seen and recognized and loved, and which kind of like fills up their bank account, their emotional bank account for for those moments where you do have to correct them and where you do have to step in between, sibling spats. The second thing is to speak into that sibling bond. So while we are often really clear in our minds that we want our children to be like lifelong friends, that we want them to have this really strong friendship and connection, we often forget to actually communicate that in terms of the way that we speak, especially when we are in a phase where there is a lot of bumping heads or sibling rivalry happening. We kind of can use our words in a way that separates our children more. So if we can get intentional about speaking into the sibling bond, it can do wonders in reframing for our children what their roles are as a together unit and to each other. So I like the way Susie Allison from The Busy Toddler recommends this in her book, Actually Parenting. I think that's what it's called. Double check the name, but I'll link it below. But it's a really good book, and she talks about how she calls her children friends. I think this is a great way to just not add anything to our mental load, but just build it into the way that we're speaking. We call our children friends. We like to also say things in terms of like, as a team, let's get it done. Just using this kind of vocabulary really builds that togetherness aspect. Now, the third suggestion is super simple. It's basically creating space, physical space for each child. So what so often happens, and one of the biggest places of tension between a crawling baby and a toddler, is that the crawling baby comes and knocks over the toddler's toys. And of course, this is super frustrating for your toddler. Like, they've been building something, they've been working so hard, they've been, concentrating on something, playing independently, all the things that we want for them to be doing. And then the baby, of course, not intentionally, sees something shiny, blocks, and they come and break the tower. And now, this is not like something that it's a behavioral problem. This is a learning step for children. So one of the ways that we can really support this is just by giving our children separate spaces. Some people like to have like a kind of playpen for their baby. One of the things that we used to do, because when our two were younger, that we lived in quite a small little house, is that I would let my toddler play or do building or more complicated play on a higher surface, so like our dining room table, instead of on the floor. As a therapist, I just love floor play. It is really beneficial for so much of the body, but in this kind of scenario, especially when it's like on repeat that the baby's breaking all the toddler stuff, having like that higher surface can be so helpful. The thing is, for our toddlers, we really do want to be giving them that time to experience playing and deeply concentrating, because we know that it is so powerful for their overall holistic development. And also, it's something that we want, right? Independent play, especially when we have two young children. We want that our children can be independent in their play, and then also be just supporting their holistic development so well through that play. So I have a video coming up which is all about independent play and how to facilitate this, with the one tip that I've never heard anyone else say, and I think you're gonna love. So go ahead and check it out. It's on your screen now. I'll see you over there.